I've always had this like deep fear of looking back and just living such like a normal life. Like, and not that that's like a bad way. It's just for me.
You don't want cookie cutter. Like,
yeah, for whatever reason, I like am dead set on like, I got to get all I can out of it. Like I can't, I'm so scared of looking back and being like, dang, we could have done more. And
all right, guys, welcome back to the Industry Podcast. My name is Doug, and today we have a guest that many of you guys might know from Glamis. Seen some videos go around on Instagram, some viral videos that have shown this guy cruising around Glamis with a magnet on the front of his razor, picking up trash. So, Dylan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Dylan from Dirt Life Media. Some of you guys might know me from Instagram, like Doug said. Been going around, living on the road for the past 2 years, kind of explored different places and getting to see all these dream places and live the reality of ripping around them in my side-by-side. And content's done well over the past 2 years, and now we're starting to do cooler things within the industry and starting to have an impact and do some good with picking up trash, as well as the magnet setup. Hope to continue that, but kind of still exploring our spot in the industry.
Yeah, so backing up a bit, what got you going towards this direction of where you are right now? Like, you grew up in Colorado.
Yeah, grew up in Colorado, Longmont area, if you're familiar with Colorado, but just about an hour north of Denver. Grew up playing sports, got into building houses as a late teenager. My dad was a home builder. Got into the family company, built houses up until about 2 years ago as a general contractor, and basically hated everything about building houses, honestly. I was done with what I was doing. I was frustrated at the idea of of working until I had the capability to get out there and enjoy my life. And I felt at the time that I needed to get out there and enjoy every bit of the life that I had right now. So I took a risk. Dirt Life was starting to, I'll back up a hair. Dirt Life was starting to get interest to go to different events. When I first started it, we were kind of a destination page. Me and a buddy.
Real quick on the Dirt Life. So. Yeah. What started Dirt Life Media? Was that something in Colorado that you started?
Let's go from there. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, me and a buddy had started a YouTube page. We were riding side-by-sides in Colorado, and we wanted to go to other places. And we said, screw it, let's start our own page. So we started doing just trips to different sand dunes. We wanted to see what
just
other
vlog
places.
Style?
What's that?
Vlog style trips?
Yep. Actually, you can still find them on YouTube, but yeah, it was real fun. It was me, one other buddy. He had an X3, I had a Turbo S, and we started making trips. Little Sahara Sand Dunes is only about 8 hours away from Colorado. We went to Sand Hollow. We went to St. Anthony Sand Dunes in Idaho together. We went to Glamis together a couple times, and we started doing videos on that, and that started doing well. We started an Instagram page. I was kind of the face of the Instagram page. The other gentleman, Derek, he was the YouTube guy, right? He had the patience and was willing to make the videos, so he did our YouTube. We split ways, and I kept up with the Instagram. That started doing better and better. To be honest, I'm not. It's kind of funny, people. Dirt Life Media, right? You think I'm a media guy, and I am very much so not.
It's a lot of work, dude.
Well, it's a lot of work, but the amount of patience you guys have to deal with every little thing about editing, I hats off to you guys, but a little bit of editing that I can do on Instagram is about the limit of me as far as editing goes. I'm not that guy, but it's always been interesting because people make that joke, right? Media. But he was the media side. I kept up with Instagram. We started kind of being a personality almost in the side-by-side industry. I'm kind of out there. People like the way I present my content. I'm not afraid to talk to anybody. I kind of became known as this like yes man living on the road, saying yes to strangers a lot, things like that. Not in a weird way. Sometimes in a weird way, to be honest, but we'll get there. So we started taking trips, and we were making trips about these, or videos about these trips to different places. And that kind of broadened my horizons to what the off-road world was. And then it's kind of funny you introduced me as a Glamis guy, because up until I think this is my 4th or 5th season in Glamis is all. But I didn't even know about Glamis up until I was 25, maybe. I think that was the first time I saw Diana Dahlgren in a Doonies video, and I was pretty intrigued from that on. Don't get me wrong. Still am. Trying to get her in the Trash Day movie. She declined. She didn't.
Well, the whole SoCal moto industry in Glamis is like insanity.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we got into the Instagram. That started doing well, and it's just evolved over the years from there. As you guys, for those of you who do know me, a lot of GoPro content, a lot of POV riding footage of different areas. I've kind of been all over the country now, which has been super awesome. But kind of showing what these places are like in real life. You know, we always watch YouTube videos, and to be honest, most of the content out there is highlight reel footage of like everything. And when Dirt Life Media first started, we were looking, to be honest, I'll tell you a story. So this started off of watching Ken Block's 10 Places to Take My Can-Am.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Ken Block. We went to Swing Arm City on our way home from Sand Hollow. Are you familiar with Caneville? That's probably not my top 10 places to take a Can-Am.
It's rough out there, isn't it?
It is rough. If you have a bike, prime, right? Track for days, jumps for days. Oh, so much fun. In a car, there's a couple of those gnarly, everyone's seen that, right? That scene where he's drifting on that cliff.
Did you guys visit that spot?
We did. We did. And I got pretty close to the top. It is gnarly. But you get outside of that area, and there's just not enough to ride for it to be a top 10 place to take a UTV.
Yeah.
We went to a couple other places. Sand Hollow. I love Sand Hollow. But the videos up there made it look to me like there was more sand dunes than anything. So we showed up, and we're not rock people, right? I was terrified on those trails. Yeah. I was in an RS1 the first time we went there, and we hit the trailhead to Double Sammy. I'm not sure if you've ever been there, but I was in an RS1, which is a single seater side by side, very short wheelbase. And we get up on this first rock, and I tip backwards, and I'm looking up, and I didn't roll, but it was not what I expected. I went there expecting sand dunes. So we started videos with the purpose of showing what places are actually like to visit. Still something we're trying to get into and perfect. To be honest, Cole and I have talked about this a couple times. We want to show people what some of these places are like, and when people are planning their vacations or their trips, they can say, okay, we need to stay here. These are the rides we want to go on. We don't need to go on this, because I was tired of spending money and time going to places only to be disappointed because someone made a video that it was the coolest place, and then you get there and it's like, after 2 hours, it's like, you want to load up and go somewhere else, or what do you want to do here? I think we've all had those moments.
How do you capture that, though? I mean, you have to be there for quite some time.
You got to know the places, and that's why we're trying to do it, is because I'm living on the road. I can experience these places. I can tell you where all the bad campsites are. I can tell you, hey, this is the reality of this situation, even if it was dreamed up to look like something else. Some of it's just they don't know any better because they haven't spent the time there, right? So they're trying to make it look like something it's not, and that's great for a highlight reel. But when you're talking about people's vacations and using their time off work and things like that, you want to be sure that they're having the greatest experience possible. So we're trying to create content that, hey, if you do want to come here, here's how you should do it, even in a side-by-side or whatever, a truck, a bike, whatever.
Yeah. So we went to Hawaii last year, and similar situation, like online, it looks perfect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Then we get out there, and the hotel we stayed at, it was like San Diego.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like Hawaii to me.
Yeah.
You know? So one of the days we rented a car and went to the backside of the island, which was all tropical. And that felt like Hawaii. But had I known that, we probably would have stayed on that side of the island.
Absolutely.
Not going back to just urban San Diego. You know?
Absolutely.
So that's cool that you guys are trying to capture that and show people what it's about.
Yeah, there's a lot of real world things like you addressed, living in a camper or even bringing your camper out. You know, some of the things we all forget: water. Where can you get propane? Or if you're out there long enough, you're going to have to get supplies. You know,
For
where
people
can you
out
go?
of propane. So I was telling him we stayed in our trailer for almost a year, and dude, there was one day I ran out of propane, and nobody in Marietta or Temecula had propane.
Oh yeah.
There was like a shortage of propane.
Oh yeah.
And you're just screwed. There's your cold showers. And
So I was just living in Oregon for the past, 3 months over the winter. Running out of propane. So it's probably the coldest it's been in like a week. This is in Medford. I don't know if you know anything about Medford, but it's, I didn't know that Oregon has a very real winter, and it's wet and it's cold and it's bitter. I was miserable, and I go to turn on my heater, out of propane, go down to the gas station. They close at 10, right? It's 9:58, and I get there, and she says no, she's not going to fill my propane. I'm like almost in tears, to be honest, because I was so frustrated, and then it just everything happens at that.
There's no insulation in your trailer. It's freezing.
Oh my! So no heat that night.
How many mornings have you woken up and it's like 35 degrees in your trailer?
A whole lot more than off. A whole lot more than not. Yeah. I have a weird thing. So living on the road, I almost have this mental battle with myself sometimes, right? Where I'm like, how cold can we stand it? You know, like how long can we make this propane tank last? I've gone way too far. I've had to sleep in way too many layers sometimes, but we've made it. And it's like
the heaters eat the propane up.
Oh my God. If you run the heater, so that's what people don't understand. Is you run the heater, 2 nights, you're done.
Yeah.
2 nights. That's it.
So like during summertime, you can make that thing last 2 months.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as bad as you think, honestly. I like living on the road. I have grown. I don't ever want to live in a house again, to be honest, ever. That's my truthful goal. Is I never want a real house. I would never want that normal way of life ever again. I'm so.
I think when you're in a home, you don't adventure as much. That's our lunch bills.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sounds like the purge.
Yeah. Clouds are coming.
No, but when you're in a home, I don't think you adventure as much. You don't get out as much. Whereas in a trailer, you're kind of forced to go find new places and go to different adventures, and it's more normal to do so.
You're forced to live, and that's the biggest thing that I'm scared to give up again. When I say that I don't want to live in a home again, I think that's probably my biggest fear, to be honest. I've always had this like deep fear of looking back and just living such like a normal life, like. And not that that's like a bad way. It's just for me.
You don't want cookie cutter.
For whatever reason, I like am dead set on like I got to get all I can out of it. Like I can't. I'm so scared of looking back and being like, dang, we could have done more. And that's why I took this jump when I did. To be honest, I had just gotten out of a relationship. When I sold my house leaving Colorado, right? So it was Thanksgiving is when my house was set to close. And I had been talking about going on the road and just risking it all and doing me for a year, just to see how it goes for a while. And I had just ended a relationship. House was set to close after Thanksgiving. I was in Glamis for Thanksgiving. Come back Tuesday morning, signed the papers to my house, done, walk away, bought a trailer, and just started making the plans for where I was going to go. Like Dirt Life was kind of setting a schedule for me for the road, at least the schedule that I thought I was going to adhere to, right? I was kind of sharing with the following. Everybody knew that my house was closing, everybody knew I was set to go on the road, and I was going to all these events to do these different things. So it's kind of cool because the community, this core community of people, has been with me for a long time now. Like Dirt Life Media, the followers, the people behind it, the people I talk to, they've been with me and watched me go through so much in life. It's crazy. Like,
and their loyalty, I would guess, is because you are real.
Correct. Which has its benefits and its drawbacks, right? But don't let me detract too far, because I'll do that. I have a habit of that. So this group of people, let's call it the 10,000 people that have been with me for a while. The page has blown up lately, but call these 10,000 people. I genuinely felt like we were a family.
Yeah.
I communicate with so many of them that it just genuinely feels like those are the people that I'm trying to make proud. Those are the people who want to see me do good, like the encouragement, and again, I keep it real. So there's days where like I voice the bad things. I had a situation in Utah that went bad, and I spoke on it. And I was hesitant to bring that to my following because it was a bad situation that I didn't really want to bring up, but it needed to be voiced. It was not a public thing, but enough people had asked me what had gone on that I had to voice something pretty near and dear to me. So yeah, keeping that real sense of community and having everyone go through all of these different stages of life with me has translated to something really cool. But
yeah, I think social media in general, there's like a big missing link of reality of life. You know,
Yeah.
Like everybody sees all these icons in the off-road industry or whatever industry it is. It's just fake. You know,
Yeah,
and
it
I'm
can
not
be.
saying that that's not all reality that they are living in their life, but they miss the whole side of life where there are ups and downs. It's not
Yeah.
always ups, you know. And I think people are missing that in general in society today, is having that like real touch of another human being to share something relatable to them, you know.
Absolutely. People have a very hard time of communicating realities because they're embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest one. And don't get me wrong, I go through it too. There's things that people don't see that behind the scenes struggles, right? Like everyone thinks that I have this figured out. Like I used to get messages all the time about like, you're a rich, what do you call it, trust fund baby or something like that, or you're rich, go do this. You know, how people are always constantly
They have
asking
something
me,
to say.
What's that?
They always have something to say.
Oh my God. I would get it all the time. Super frustrating. But everyone always acts like I have this figured out because I'm living on the road and they see me going to different places and things like that. But there is an insane amount of struggles that go into the daily roles that you guys see, like everything from funding to just working on things, everything. There's so much struggle in all of it. I mean, getting to do these things, it's awesome, and I'm glad I get to live the life I do, but there is a lot of struggle in this.
Yeah, I'm sure you have the financial stress of, because you're not working a day-to-day job right now.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. Yeah. So not working a day-to-day job. I'm still involved in my construction company back home, but I haven't taken a salary in 18 months now from that company.
So how does that work? How does that work being on the road and dealing with your construction stuff in Colorado without having hands on there? Like, how does that work for you?
Starlink makes everything possible, right? Thank God for Elon Musk saving the world one satellite dish at a time. No, but for real, that's satellite internet. I mean, it's kind of cool how many people are able to go do what I'm doing in a different form because of internet, right? So I'm able to work out of my trailer and touch base through email and day to day. Again, something that people don't see, right? I'm inside my trailer working on emails, calls, all that, even when we're out. Cleaning up the dunes, half the time my phone's still ringing about something or emailing about something. So, and it's not just that, we have our hands in 50 other different things, and I'm trying to take Dirt Life Media into different directions and do more. And it's all a challenge. So keeping all of that going and then presenting content, as it's just a struggle. The funding is difficult, like you said. I mean, we're kind of at the head of this, and I think it's going to do well. But we're starting from nothing, right? Everyone's been talking about. Sorry if I'm detracting here. We can circle back, but everyone's been talking about starting a nonprofit to get this trash cleanup going. But when you're starting from nothing, and the reality is, to do a nonprofit, you got to pay lawyers to start that up and things like that. It's a difficult thing. So we're trying to build something from nothing, and it's effort and energy. We'll figure it out.
Do you have any organizations or anybody helping you right now?
Not currently. So we're launching the GoFundMe to help get that started. But the reality is, let's start from how it conceptualized. Okay, let's go back from the beginning. This all started from a dream that I had roaming around in Utah when I was picking up nails for UTV Invasion about 2 years ago at the Little Sahara Sand Dunes. And so starting from that.
Did you have the razor contraption yet, or was this by hand?
No, this was, so we go to Little Sahara, Utah. Can we start? We need to start back.
Yeah, go back.
All right.
We got time.
All right. I don't know what you're cutting stuff up.
I'm not cutting anything. This is one take.
Okay, so we're going to start how we got to here. Because you asked that question 2 questions ago, and I'm going to circle all the way back. Living on the road landed me at an event up in Winchester Bay Sand Dunes in Oregon called Dune Fest. Are you familiar? Mm-hmm. Okay. Got there. Great event. I was camped in the middle of the sand. It was a place called Stage Camping. Sunday morning rolls around. Everybody's rolling out. I'm looking around the sand dunes, and it's just littered with trash everywhere. There's tents I can see, caution tape, cups, beer cans, bottles, literally everything. I can see it right out my trailer door, right? And I'm at the middle of the stage entrance, middle of the sand dunes. Everyone's rolling out. I talked to some of the volunteers and kind of asked, like, what are we doing here? What's the plan? Who's cleaning this up? And they're like, well, it's us, but we only got... I think they had 4 hours left of cleanup that day, and then they were off duty. Right? Off. Yeah. And I had nothing to do, so we started cleaning with the volunteers, and I started posting videos. And then I had a couple locals hit me up saying, like, "Hey, if you're going to be out there, can I come help?" A couple of friends that I had made through that event. Sure, absolutely. So we spent, I think him and I spent 3 or 4 days, and then I had another couple people asking if they could come out. We ended up spending about 3 weeks total at the Winchester Bay Sand Dunes. Rangers rolled around eventually, because I hadn't paid for camping or anything like that, to be honest. I just stayed there after the event, kind of was like, we'll deal with it when it comes. It came. Rangers showed up, and he's asking me how many days I've been there for, and I was like, I don't know if he was checking my honesty or what, but I told him it's like about 3 weeks. And he told me how much that was in camping. And I think it was $55 a night or something to be where I was. So it had added up to an amount of money. And, but then he made a deal with me that I could just stay there as long as I was cleaning. And so I did. I stayed another about week until I had to roll to a different event. So I'm literally camped where no one else is supposed to camp. People are moving in and out throughout the weeks, but I'm there in stage camping for a month, camping where no one else is. It was great. My backyard was the Winchester Bay Sand Dunes. I don't know if you've been up there, but Banshee Hill is right off to my right. So I'm watching people as the sun goes down, rip up their Banshees. It was awesome. Anyways, comes time to roll to our next event on the schedule, UTV Invasion in Nephi, Utah. Get there, set up. Just noticed the incredible amount of nails. I don't know if you've been to Little Sahara.
I've never been to a desert outside of California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have an event coming up next month. That's actually where I'm bringing the magnet next. But get there. Their main campground is known as Sand Mountain. You pull in, and it's just this huge flat campground. right at the base of, think Oldsmobile Hill, some big party hill in the sand dunes. You camp right at the base of that. It's pretty sweet, but I've never seen so many nails in my life. It was insane. You literally couldn't take a step like this room would thousands. It was insane. So next trip into town for some supplies, we stopped by Harbor Freight and picked up one of the rolling magnets. They're like 30 inches wide. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. A lot of people have them in their shops, things like that. Picked up one of those, brought it back out there within 10 minutes. I mean, we had a stack just huge of nails. Some of the other campers were starting to roll in and saw we had that magnet, saw the issue. So we started passing that magnet around from camp to camp. And it was cool. It was disappointing, right? Just to see how many nails there were, but it was also like super satisfying and cool, knowing that we were getting them out. Made a couple videos, had some kids join in, some of the moms and things like that. Obviously, they're worried about their kids, what they're running around on.
A lot of people in the sand walk barefoot too.
Yeah, me.
Yeah,
yeah. It's actually hard packed at Little Sahara, so all of the nails are just sitting on the surface of the dirt. But we're running that magnet around, and it was really cool. But started brainstorming. That was the first idea I got of like, okay, like how do we get this
come up with something
campground? Yeah, exactly. Because there's only so much you can do walking around, right? So that was the first initial concept, first initial inspiration, I should say, of the magnet. But as my schedule, I had to roll out of Little Sahara. We did a lot of good that week, but we ended up having to roll out. I think I was there about a week and a half. Ended up talking to the county commissioner, kind of making a couple videos with her, showing her the issue. We'll be back there this summer doing some more of that. But next stop on our tour was somewhere else in Utah. Again, got there for an event. It was one of the UTV event tour dates for UTV Takeover or Invasion, one of the two. Awesome event. But again, everybody leaves. The place is just filthy. Insane amount of trash cans. I mean, the typical stuff that we see everywhere else. But cleaned that up. Videos did well again, which isn't the goal. We're trying to show these people like, hey, stop leaving your stuff. Like, honestly, I'm almost going for a little bit of shame and embarrassment on some of those videos, right? But we spent the whole year doing that. That continued from stop to stop to stop to stop. And it was awesome, but disappointing, right? We got to see almost the whole country last year and all the sand dunes in it, but every one of them has the same issue. This is not an issue that I've been trying to solve for Glamis or Utah or Oklahoma or Arizona, right? This is a desert dune community, off-road community.
Yeah, the issue is never going to go away.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I think all of us can do a better job cleaning up when we're in the desert, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But that brought us all the way and circled us back around to Glamis season for Camp Razor, Halloween weekend. Again.
This last year?
Yeah.
So that was I went on Halloween day. That was the second time I'd ever gone to Glamis. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen so many side-by-sides.
Oh yeah.
We camped right next to the drags with SoCal suspension. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to go for 2 days, went to film with him, his truck broke. And so we left. There was too much going on. I don't know how you deal with it out there.
I love the chaos, dude. You gotta almost be addicted to that.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
I know it's definitely a special crowd that goes out to Glamis.
Yeah. It's the sand community is different for sure as a whole. I would think from the desert, but especially your holiday weekend crews, right? Those people, you have to be okay with a million things going on around you. You have to be comfortable, and those are where you hear the stories of people not enjoying the trips, yeah. Right? It's because they weren't prepared for that. And it's hard. It's until you're at the top of Oldsmobile on Camp Razor weekend with that many people around you. It's hard to describe that level of chaos, you know?
it's definitely cool if you're on top of those hills, like at night, looking down on this stuff. Like it's something you won't see at Ocotillo. You know, Ocotillo gets busy, but it's not the same thing. Glamis kind of reminds me of like Lake Havasu during the summer.
Yeah.
It's just chaos party.
I've never been to Havasu.
Yeah, it's definitely not a family oriented. It's like Glamis on water.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That's hard for me too, I think, because I have small kids and I don't feel comfortable putting my kids like in the middle of that.
Okay. So let's start there then. So you're not a Glamis. You said that was your second time there?
Yeah, I'm an Ocotillo guy. I grew up going to Ocotillo. That's my place.
Okay. So in your opinion, you're saying there's not a safe way to bring your family to the dunes on a holiday weekend?
I think you could definitely maybe stay further away. I wouldn't go take kids to like camp at the drags, you know?
Okay.
It's just chaos. It seems to be the whole weekend there.
So there's two methodologies that I've this is no judgment. I'm always interested to hear people because I was just at Swing Set like 2 weeks ago, right? What's your opinion on having kids in the backseat of a car? Of a sand car? On the dunes? From someone who doesn't know the dunes, would that be a big deal? Would you do it to your kids? Do you go out and ride with your kids?
In the desert, yeah.
In the desert, but you wouldn't.
To me, it's a different. Or desert, I say Ocotillo, but it's a different. Like I don't know the dunes, so I don't even think I would go. I'd probably go in the middle of the week to Glamis and get to know the dunes a little bit.
Yeah.
And then maybe start inching my way into the weekends. But just to take my kids directly into like a holiday weekend on Glamis and get a Razor or Can-Am, like I wouldn't do it. You know.
Absolutely. And I see it all the time. I don't know where I fall on that. I'm not a parent, don't have kids, but I don't know where I fall on that spectrum. I see it all the time out in the dunes. You'll see kids in car seats or things like that in the back of a sandrail, and more power to the parents, I guess. I mean, it's your child. You can do what you will, but man, when they're hammering through whoop sections and you look in the back of a car and you see a little kid doing this and it's like, hey, dude, you should pull over. Like, yeah, why are you doing that?
Yeah, and then also, so the couple times I've gone to Glamis, it's to go film with somebody, and I'm a passenger in like a Bronco or a truck, you know? And the trains of side-by-sides that are going through those dunes,
yeah,
like I think it's more of a not trusting the other people.
Absolutely.
You know? Like the people I've driven with, they're great drivers. They do this all the time. So I'm comfortable with them, but you come up over a dune and there's 30 Razors coming up the other side. Like, what do you do? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a different perspective. Just because, like, I hear that so often in my head, like, I don't see how, like, I can be so safe out in the middle of the dunes by myself that I don't know that I would want to take them to the desert. I don't even have kids, but it's just an interesting perspective. You know where you know. But
yeah, there's a difference of if I go to the desert by myself, I'm only worried about myself.
Yeah.
I trust myself. You put kids in the back of like my truck, then you have a whole different thing you're thinking about the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You drive
absolutely.
slower, drive safer.
Absolutely.
You know. So anyways, so getting back to what you're doing in Glamis, what made you decide to push your way towards Glamis for this season?
Okay, so we got back there for Halloween. Everywhere else kind of shuts down throughout the country, right? Everywhere else's seasons are opposite. So you have Utah and Idaho are getting covered in snow right now or the last couple months versus Glamis where it's sunshine and beautiful. So that's just kind of naturally how my schedule flowed. We started being out there for trips. I was up in Oregon working with 106 Motorsports out of Medford, making trips down to the dunes still. So I was actually just stationed up in Medford. I haven't been out there all season, but still making the trips down. We were still cleaning up after every holiday weekend, just showing people what the reality of this place looks like when they leave. Bonfires that have empty beer cans, bottles, you name it, in their circles still left, just smoldering, and they've already long gone, and it's just left there for no one. No one's coming. No one's coming to clean up, right? So whatever you leave on the sand is there for whoever or no one to clean. Fortunately, I've been able to do it for quite a few trips, but I don't get everything, right? Yeah. I'm trying to promote the concept of picking up after yourself, but that's now
which is a basic concept, but
insanely basic concept. And the reality is that if people did what they were supposed to do, I wouldn't be doing this, right? But as we've talked about, the industry is still exploding, and the amount of people who are going to be coming out to the desert or the dunes is continuing to grow. So we not only have a problem with the dunes in their current condition, but we're also adding more and more and more and more people. A lot of these people are new to the desert and the dunes. They don't know the rules, the unwritten rules, right? Pack it in, pack it out. They don't grasp that. They're not from this world for whatever reason.
Well, it's the side-by-side craze, right? So that
a huge part of it, yes.
They finally brought in a off-road vehicle that anybody can go to, an off-road motorsports place, go finance a vehicle, take it out to the desert. It kind of reminds me of
Okay, then I'm going to stop you there because we're going to get into that. Then explain to me the nails from 20 years ago when side-by-sides didn't exist. Explain to me the beer bottles and
on that, I don't think the side-by-side, I'm just saying the amount of people that are now in the desert.
Yes.
Because before you had truck guys, you had sandrails and bikes. You know, and the majority of people I think the desert crowd was a lot smaller.
If we're talking about Glamis, so here's how I think this problem has blown up over the past, let's call it 15 years. You used to have vehicles that you couldn't take a lot in, right? Quads, how much do you take in? I mean, you got a little cooler, right?
Or something, yeah.
But most of the quad guys, they're drinking 1 or 2 beers and a sandwich, and they put that stuff right back in their little cooler, right? And it's strapped to their rack, and they know where that cooler is at all times and all that, right?
Yeah.
Buggy, same thing, sitting right there in front. They know where that cooler is at all times. Side-by-sides have allowed us to take so much more deeper into
trunks in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Racks, coolers that don't get strapped down very well, and they're in the back, and you're going through a whoop section, and that cooler is set ejecto-ceto, and now it's in the middle of the dunes. And so side-by-sides have allowed us to take more stuff into the desert. I see that. Also, you can take an exuberant amount of more beers, right? That's a huge thing. So instead of taking 2 in your lunchbox, people are taking a 12 in the back of their side-by-side, which you're not supposed to be doing, but obviously people are going to push the limits on what they can do and what they will do, right?
Yeah.
So we're taking more stuff in, and we have even more people. They're easier access. You didn't get brought up in the desert anymore. Like myself, I introduced myself into the desert, right? But some of those people who introduce themselves aren't willing to learn some of the unwritten rules of the place, adhere to the etiquette. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So you have a different crowd of people and an unbelievable amount more, right? Like side-by-sides that became instantly accessible to how many people just by signing your name, right? You can get a side-by-side.
Yeah, now Halloween weekend, how many thousands of side-by-sides were out there, you know?
I don't know. How much bank-owned stuff was out there?
It's crazy.
Yeah. But so you have all these, this crazy amount more of people bringing more stuff in who are even more careless than the crowd was previously, right? I think some of the years past, when we're talking about the nails and things that I was quizzing you on, not quizzing, teasing, those were more negligence. I don't think those people necessarily knew what they were doing and weren't doing it intentionally. I think the trash that we see from the 80s, 90s, those people weren't doing it intentionally. They're burning pallets and things like that were okay back then, right? The magnesium blocks and things like that. All of that was like okay back then. And it made sense. Like I burned pallets, you've burned pallets, I'm sure we have.
They make cool fires.
Yeah, heck yeah, they do. Big old bonfires, and they're hot. Oh, they're free, they're cheap, and save them for home. Because when they burn out, there's just a massive amount of nails left over, and you don't realize it until you're staying afterwards and see the aftermath of what these things do. When I was in Little Sahara, the nails, I had no idea at that time that those were from pallet burn until someone told me that that's what it was. And then it all made sense. And you can see it. You can see the screws. You can see the type of nails. I almost get to play paleontologist sometimes, just like dissecting what sites are. And like, I've been out there for over a month now. Like, it's been some long days. I talk to myself while I'm dissecting sites, weird voices.
You're becoming one of those
a fossil finder. Oh yeah. Already barefoot people. Oh yeah. Dude, 3:00 it's real hot, and I'm wandering around looking for my Uncrustable for a little sugar. Yeah.
So, Glamis, do you want to dive into the contraption you have on the front of your?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, did you have that going into Glamis this season, or was that something you came up with since you've been there?
To be honest, you want to go back to struggles. Let's talk about struggles. Was up in Oregon, had this kind of idea, I ran this idea for a front-mounted razor by a couple different people, and none of them were ever very interested. Met a guy up there named Levi from Jack's Metal Fabrication. He was helping 106 Motorsports out on a couple different things, and I had talked to him about the idea, and he instantly got to thinking, and then really wanted to do it. I started reaching out to a couple different sponsors. I drew this kind of very rough draft. It was basically some pipes with a couple magnets on it, and I had started brainstorming, and some of the followers and said, why don't you use a snowplow setup? Off of UTV. I was like, well, that'd be kind of cool. So I reached out to Super ATV, and they were all about it. I kind of showed them my design and what we were going to do. Gave that stuff to Jack's Metal Fabrication. I told him kind of what we needed, and he started brainstorming. And then 3 days later, he had told me to drop off some parts, and I show up, and it was this massive structure that had hinges and springs and a lever release for the magnets. And he was like, I became obsessed with this. And it was super cool because it was finally someone who was just as excited to see it work as I was. And it was really cool. So no, that we didn't go into Glamis with that. This became, I think we had at the time maybe a week and a half till we were leaving for Glamis when I met him. Right around a week and a half.
So it was very new.
Very new. And it all happened very quick. So we were about 7 hours late loading up for Glamis. That trip, we were meeting Cole to go film the trash day video, and everything was riding on me leaving that night. We went to load the magnet and my trash trailer into my toy hauler with my car, and ran into a problem, and everything was just so big. We took 3 hours dismantling everything. I had to pull my trash trailer into my toy hauler on the hubs.
How heavy is the magnet?
I don't know an official weight on it. It's snapped 2 of my winch lines now.
So it's heavy.
It's stout. Yeah. It's 10 feet wide. So it's a big girl. When I lift it up, because that winch, that front suspension just squats. It's pretty crazy, even on the Pro R.
It's when you drop it down, it has those big balloon wheels on it, right?
Correct. So it has big 2 balloon tires off of like a what do they call it? Beach cart?
Like a jet ski beach cart.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I found them. That's exactly what those are. But then we have these 2 A-arms, so it's got independent suspension and kind of rotates from left to right. The operating height of the magnet's right at about 1.5 inches, so it's super critical design it literally comes down to PSI on the tires, because that magnet, you can only buy so strong of a magnet for so much of a price, right? We got to get into a bigger commercial grade magnet, but that had to ride less than 2 inches off the ground. So that was a big, the magnets themselves are 84 inches wide. So it was the fact that he was able to take my initial concept and idea and then build that was just absolutely insane. He did it in a week and a half. We actually still owe him for that and the trailer. So we're getting into that, but it was $5,800 for both of those. He's got about 95 hours into just the magnet in time alone, plus materials, plus. And it's pretty awesome, but it was an overwhelming thing, right? Like, this became so much bigger than what I thought it was going to be in my head.
Just a pipe with some magnets on it.
Yeah. And to be honest, I was a little bit like a $5,800 bill. I'm still trying to figure out how we're paying for it, right? And it became so much bigger than what it was meant to be. You know, this was meant to be just me doing not a couple little, we were trying to do some good, but I didn't know I was going to spend $6,000 on a magnet, to be honest. Still in a little bit of sticker shock. I'm glad that we did it, but like, we're talking about struggles. Like, I didn't know that was going to be a $6,000 bill. We filmed the movie. That's awesome. But like $6,000 is a lot of money for me to spend. I'm not rich, right? So $6,000 is a lot of money for me to spend to go clean up other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle. I want to do it. We're trying to get this going, but the fact of the matter is we got to get some help, because I can't do that forever, right? I would love to just spend the rest of my life continuing to build contraptions and machines. But it's a struggle. So figuring out how to pay for that magnet, all these things. But no, this all came super quick. It started which started, you should do a nonprofit, you should do this, you should do that. And I don't want to limit what we're doing to anything at all. So we keep evolving, right? And everyone's makes these suggestions about different contraptions that we're going to be running, which is super fun, and super fun to have the community involved in these different things. Jax and I are talking about different trailers that we can build. I don't know if you've seen the trailer that we're running out there right now.
The trash trailer?
Yeah. Okay, so that started as a $600 Facebook Marketplace find. As soon as I got to Medford, I wanted to start this trash trailer because I had been cleaning up and had this super cool idea to bring it out to like Olds and the drags and help people not throw trash in the desert.
Give them something to throw their trash into.
Give them an option at all these different like community meetup points, right? Because I love going out there, but I've been living on the road. So if I can go out there and be in the same space, but I got to put in a couple hours giving back and giving all the people who came to share the space with me for that weekend an option to keep it clean. Let's do it. So we started building this trash trailer. We really just wanted a donor platform, honestly. Like, that was the biggest thing I was looking for. Short single axle trailer that was simple. Plan was to cut it all apart. Budget didn't quite allow for that yet, but we need to go single axle on that. So Jax and I are designing a different trailer from scratch that's specifically made for the trash cleanups, because this one was just an altered flatbed. Those recycle containers are actually through bolted. Right now it was supposed to have enclosed sides. And we have this whole design. So, at a fast food restaurant, the trash receptacles, how they have the push through door.
Yeah.
Okay, so picture that 2 wide, because you know what the trash trailer looks like. We got 2 wide, 2 little push through doors. So we're pushing, people can drive around, or I can drive around and people can just throw their trash through the door, just like at a Wendy's.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right now, those are bolted through the trailer. So it makes things like changing out the trash bags a little bit difficult. People aren't.
Once they get heavy too.
Oh, so glass and metal add up quick.
Yeah.
Have you seen how I'm dumping the buckets? I fill up a 5-gallon bucket and then I dump it into those. So it takes about 5 buckets to fill one of the trash receptacles, right? By the time that 5th bucket's dumped and that thing's full, I regret dumping that 5th bucket because that bag is just so dang heavy and we got to pull it out through the top right now.
So if you have the other style, then you can just open up a door and pull it.
Exactly. So the design is actually to have them pull out on like a wheels, like a cart. So you open the back of the trailer and all 4 bins slide out on like cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things we got to adjust, but we still got to get there. But it's been super cool. We were just using the trailer again this weekend. I've had it out there for 5-6 weekends in a row now, out at Olds and the drags. We had it out at Swing Set a couple weeks ago. So I've been driving it up and down the roads. Again, giving people an option. By the end of the day, that's full. So it's over 180 gallons of trash out of the dunes that we prevent usually.
You guys have you have 4 buggy whips in there, right?
Yeah. Buggy whips came on board super hard for us. That was super cool. We actually have 6 between the car and the trailer. So driving around at night, it's just
noticeable.
This halo, this glow. Cole took this picture. I think it was President's Day weekend, and the entire hill is just lit up with whips. But you can still see me. So I've just got this glowing halo. It's pretty awesome. Cool. Yeah, the bright white buggy whips. Buggy whips are the way to go for sure. I've ran through pretty much everything. I've been waiting for those to go on that trailer with a single axle setup with the leaf springs. Those whips are just constantly just.
It's cool though. It's the whip look.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's cool to look in the mirror and see all four of them dancing. Makes me happy.
No, that's cool, man. So your social media presence, I want to talk about real quick. I had no idea. So I have my film account. I had no idea who Dirt Life Media was until probably 3 months ago. And I still didn't put 2 and 2 together until I met you on Friday.
Yeah.
So on my For You page, I saw your razor.
Uh-huh.
I think the front end was like lifting up and down. And I mean, it caught my attention. I don't really look at too much stuff on my For You page. Yeah. There's just so much.
Yeah, totally.
But you see something that catches your eye. I'm like, man, what is that contraption? And then I'm watching it. And like immediately I was drawn to it because I don't know, the desert is like our playground. And it is trashed. I don't care if you go to Ocotillo, Glamis, wherever. Like you were saying, it's just, they're becoming like a trash can, you know? It seems to be getting worse and worse every year. For whatever reason, but so it was cool to see you. I think I followed you somewhere around that point in time, but then ever since then, like I keep seeing it on my For You page, like trash pickup in Glamis. And I don't know if do you do any desert cleanups with like Clean Desert or?
They had actually messaged me maybe about a month ago. I have not previously, but I would like to start getting into that. No, I haven't. I know Mr. I think his name's Adam. Mm-hmm. He had just messaged me the other day, actually. So I would like to start getting into that. He does a great job at organizing those. Yeah.
So I've gone to a couple of his events, and then like May 17th, we're doing Fast Lab UTV. Yeah. So they're doing a event in Dove Springs, which is towards LA. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a Clean Desert event up there, but we don't. It'd be cool to see your platform like in like the hard packed desert too,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how that would work, like because you have your stuff set up for sand, but there's just Clean Desert events all year long with a bunch of different companies that are doing it. And I think at some point you could probably organize your own full event, like that. There's so many companies who are down to get on board, set up a booth out there, whatever it costs, a couple $100 to set up a booth, which helps fund your guys' side of it, So if you get 20 companies in a big circle out there, it's something that families can come out, they go get a trash bag, and you guys all go out together and clean it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely something we're interested in. I've been to a couple of the cleanups, kind of at the dunes. They have them out there as well. I want to figure out a way to reward people for doing things behind the scenes, doing things regularly, doing things that they should be doing. As we've talked about, like the camera can be good and bad. Mm-hmm. And off camera is where you learn about people, and off camera is where I think people are made, honestly. And the problem with some of those cleanup events is we get people using it as more of a social gathering, and it doesn't even have to be, or it doesn't mean that it's on purpose. And that's what it
just evolves into it.
Correct. And I've probably been guilty of it, to be honest, but the fact is you get caught up, you're coming out there, people want to talk, and I always try and be accessible to the people who I want to talk to or want to talk to me or ask me questions, but you go out there to do some good, and then you get caught up talking, and then the people who came out to do some good and see you talking, they get discouraged, and then they leave. So we're trying to figure out a way to actually do this behind closed doors and reward people for that. Have you heard of that app? I think it's called Little Smoky, something like that. It's an app where people can report trash sites, basically. So litter in national.
Leave like a drop there?
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. And I had someone reach out to me the other day, and we were talking about this. for different off-road sites. And if we could say there was a way to keep people accountable, but they could report a trashed site, whatever you want to call it, a litter zone, whatever. And then they could show progress of them cleaning it up or posted, cleaned up, and they were able to almost get some sort of discount or something nearby. So in Glamis, a good example would be like Gilmore's or Daddy's. Those are two of the vendors down there. If you were able to report a nail site and then another picture of you cleaning it up and then get credit towards a meal or something like that, behind closed doors where people can do it regularly, once a year is great. And that reports or shows people that we're actually doing something. It spreads awareness, but I'm trying to do something more than just spread awareness. I started the trash team as kind of a joke. I hashtag trash team on all of my posts lately, but that's what I'm going for. That's my long-term goal with this is a collection of people in different locations that truly do take responsibility for that. Whether it's something we think we should have or not, the fact is we need it. It could be a sad reality if you want to look at it that way, but it's also just a matter of fact that we have, I don't know the real numbers in Glamis, but I think there was 150,000 people that came throughout last season. That sounds like a lot of people. And it sounds like a lot of people in and out.
There's more.
Yeah?
Yeah. So they did a map of King of Hammers.
Yep.
There was like 200 or 300,000 people there. And then they showed a map of like Glamis over the...
Could that be for it? No.
I mean, it was like...
Oh!
Astronomical.
Wait a minute. People got into like Instagram beef over this.
Yeah.
God.
Because King of Hammers...
I saw that.
King of Hammers was saying like, man, this is the
Yeah.
And then Glamis came out and they're like, come on, 300,000 people,
Yeah.
But so King of Hammers, we went there, we raced it. Dude, the chaos, it's 300,000 people in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's slammed, And when that desert cleared, the amount of trash that was left behind, and there's like desert cleanups going on, clean desert events going on that were...
During the week.
They were not in King of Hammers. And I was thinking immediately after that event, I'm like, somebody should set up an event immediately following King of Hammers to go clean up that area. Like we come in, it's a cool event for all of us. It's obviously been around for years, but as soon as it's done, it's just like a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
The whole place is so trashed, and nobody has a desert cleanup. I think there's a group of people, like from the Rangers or those people, they'll go through and like do a little cleanup, but it doesn't go through in detail to clean that up, And, I think there's definitely a need for that around that time of year.
So how do you think that gets done in your mind? What does that look like to you? If it's not an event, right? Would you expect to comb through that whole place in your event post Hammers?
You need like a search party, Really?
Well, let's talk logistics, because this is something that I constantly have to battle. Let's talk logistics. How do you clean that up?
Well, first off, going back, I really like how you were just talking about doing something behind the scenes. It's like somebody giving someone, a homeless guy, money. A lot of people do that, like on TikTok now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't. Where's the genuine side of that?
Right.
Of
course.
So I think like you probably have a decent enough network now of people that you can just behind the scenes be like, hey, we're just getting a group of people together. We're going to go out to King of Hammers as soon as it's done. You can hit guys like us up and just a bunch of people and make it known like this isn't going to be a marketed event. This is just out of your own time. You're passionate about the desert. You want to help keep it clean. Let's just go out and do it,
Yeah, I got to walk a fine line because I'm going to retract on what I said. It has to be kind of public a little bit, but we need hardworking people who actually care about what we're doing there. My days in the desert, they are long days, man. You guys see some of it on Instagram. You probably see 30 pieces of trash on my story is a lot, but what you don't understand is it took 500 pieces of trash to fill 4 bags that day.
Yeah.
And that's not even a joke. I mean, we're talking about a bottle cap, right? It's to fill a bag of garbage from the sand dunes takes a lot of work. I'm walking anywhere between 4 and 6 miles someday in the sand dunes. And so when we're talking about logistics, that's why I'm so interested, because you're right. We need to figure out a better way. A search party isn't realistic, right?
No, but
so how do we prevent it on the first hand, but then do a better job about cleaning it up? Because how many more trash cans can King of Hammers survive before it becomes an issue? PR.
Yeah. So after going to some desert cleanup events, and I hope this doesn't irritate anybody, but everybody brings their pre-runners out, their trucks out, razors out. So it becomes a desert trip, right? Everybody might pick up a bag of trash in the entire day. So I think being able to organize something that, like, hey, we're not going out here today to go play.
Yeah.
Let's go out there and leave your trucks at home. Maybe bring your family vehicle just to park it there at the front area. Because that's what it does turn into. Everybody ends up grabbing a trash bag. I mean, I've done it. So I'll go there, grab a trash bag, and then you start driving in the desert, and then you see one of your buddies out there, so you go drive with him. Like, you end up just playing all day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. But I think there's got to be some middle ground there. I don't know. But the trash team, kind of the intention of that is to take responsibility for our own community. You know, a lot of people just always want to talk about like what the government should do or what the BLM agency should do or what anyone else should do, but what they should do.
And they bring politics into it.
Yeah, exactly. And sure, like people should be picking up after themselves, but we go back to the number of people that are in these places, and the reality of that is we're going to have some people who don't clean up after themselves, but the community who really cares about that place needs to take the responsibility for all of that community, right?
Yeah.
And truthfully clean up after themselves. Whether or not we got to carry some of the bad individuals for a while until they learn, fine. But we also have to get those bad seeds out, and that's what we're trying to do with the Trash Day video. We're trying to bring fun to a not fun topic. I mean, trash isn't that fun, right?
No, but I was thinking of fun right before you said it. So what you're doing, in my opinion, you're making it look like an activity. Like, it looks enjoyable. You're out there with your razor. Like, have you ever thought about selling these contraptions?
No, I've had a couple people be like, yeah, I really want one. And I'm like, hey, yeah.
$6,000?
Yeah, exactly. I'll freaking sell you one.
Yeah.
So not to digress, but I've had a lot of people be like, you should put a basketball hoop because of the fun thing.
Yeah.
That was kind of the joke I made the other day. It's like, you'd have to be way better at basketball than me. Otherwise, I'm going to have to be driving around in circles waiting for you to freaking make this thing. But
makes Shaquille O'Neal at the free throw line.
Yeah, exactly. But no, making it fun for the kids has been a big deal. Like, I think he was 10 or 12. Wanted to ride on that little sidecar on my trailer. That's been super fun. That's probably the coolest one. Kids are always. I just thought about
the kid part of it is so big for you.
Oh yeah,
kids. Because the adults, they're already all stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
But you're teaching children, hey, this is actually enjoyable to take care of what we have. Like, that's something I think we all take for granted, is a free desert to go play in.
So the weird part about the last year and a half is I don't have kids of my own, and somehow the kids, I've really drawn to the kids because they're so much more fun and they still want to do stuff. They still want to learn. Adults, like, they don't care. It's weird. Like, perfect example. We had a problem at Oldsmobile. A dirt biker went down in front of me, and I had to get him out of the dunes over to the beach store. Roll back into. I'd left someone with the trash trailer. There was a group of people there, and so I left my car out there with the trash trailer. I come back from that. We break over the hill into Olds, and there's like 10 kids around my trash trailer. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, what's going on? And as we got closer and closer, Lexi was out there. One of my friends, she was out there helping clean up. And And it was a group of 10 kids out there with her cleaning up the base of Olds. None of the adults were 200 feet away. And it was just super interesting because not one of them came over and said, hi, what's going on? All of their kids were out there helping, picking up belts, cans, all that. Every time we go to the hill, it's always one of the kids who wants to help. They see me picking up a belt, and just next thing you know, 20 seconds later, he's walking over with a belt, a blown belt from out of the dunes. And it's hardly ever an adult, they're just fun. The kids make it more fun about it. They're always asking questions. I feel like I'm a child, so I get along better with kids for the most part. We both love Uncrustables, Pop-Tarts, But yeah, the kids.
Brown sugar.
Yeah. For real.
We can.
Yeah.
I had an argument with one of the guys.
It's definitely Straubs.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's Straubs for sure. What about Uncrusties?
Can't do them, dude.
Oh my God, I'm done with this show.
Yeah. All right, that's it. I'm just kidding. No, I think that's you're impacting the youth, which is, having kids of my own, our youth, this generation is so not messed up, but it's so different compared to like how we were brought up, And I think being able to instill something into the youth of our industry is huge, and you're probably impacting kids' lives that you don't really notice you're doing, or maybe you do know. But those could be memories that 10 years down the road, they're still doing the same thing because of these days,
I appreciate that. I had the realization, it was brought to my attention that I'm affecting some kids and kind of how they view things. Last year in Utah, I got brought a box of Uncrustables. It was my first event that I had things for sale, merch-wise. First time having a booth. And this mom and this little girl, her name was Chloe. Her mom approached me and she was like, my daughter brought you a box of Uncrustables. It'd be really cool if you'd like take a picture with her. And it was kind of, the little girl didn't know the mom was talking to me. And she brought them over to me and she just had the biggest smile. And to be honest with you, I went back to my trailer and cried for like 2 minutes. It was really freaking cool. The mom told me some other things, but they were just talking about like the positive impact and like what I talk about and how real and some of that stuff. And just knowing that like there's little kids that are watching my channel really, really made me aware of what I'm doing, I think. And that's played a part into how real I am, because there's so much fake on this. And even in our industry, things are not what they appear sometimes. And I've always wanted to be that and let people know that it's okay to talk to people about struggles and things like that. I'm one of those people that I'll ask about anything. Like you can talk to me about anything and I share my struggles. And so I think that's helped with some of that and making cleanup fun. And I look at it as an adventure kind of every time I go out, it's like a treasure hunt type of thing. It's not. I really don't find much cool stuff. I'm honestly super disappointed about how little I found.
Like nobody's leaving good stuff out there.
Well, not only that, but like it pisses me off when other people ask like, what's the coolest thing you found? It's like literally nothing. I found a key to a razor that nobody claimed ever. Nothing ever cool. I'm still pissed about it.
Okay, so, but away from not being able to find treasures out there, you talked about in the beginning of this that construction wasn't doing it for you, right?
Yes.
And I did 16 years of construction, so I relate to that so much, dude. And being able to go out and do something in your life that is meaningful. This building houses or me doing commercial landscape. It's cool. I mean, you're changing the landscape of the earth, but it's not. It's just a day-to-day collecting a paycheck type job, And what you're doing now, you just talked about like a core memory for a girl giving you this box of Uncrustables.
Absolutely.
Like those are the things that you're gonna always have that memory of going back to your trailer, and it's like it's emotional when you're able to do something that impacts somebody else.
Absolutely. the coolest thing that Dirt Life Media has done for me, honestly, I have lived more life in the last 2 years, taking this like giant risk of like, we'll see if this works. I have lived more life in the last 2 years than I think most people have ever or will ever live, to be honest.
And you're just getting started. Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Just getting started. But the amount of community that we've grown and had to rely on, to be honest, like you said you only joined a couple months ago, but I've involved my community now for 2 years. Like, but life on the road, you need certain things and things come up, and having like a following that reaches out and says like, hey, if you need a place to sleep and a place to do laundry tonight, go ahead. I have done that probably 25 times. Just slept at random strangers' house that sent me a message off Instagram. Hey, do you need a place to wash clothes, eat, sleep? Like, at first I kind of brush it off sometimes, and then I get into a situation like this last time I'm thinking of specifically. Another snowstorm, didn't know where I was going to sleep. I had been in my truck for 2 nights because of snow already. Someone sent me a message as I was rolling south through, somewhere up by the coast. And they're like, hey, if you need a place to sleep, I see that you're going to be stranded again tonight. Like, just come through. We got dinner ready for you. No big deal. And the amount of times that I've used that or been able to crash out at someone's house has been insane. So the community we have built, the experiences that I've gotten to have because of that, it's just me rolling on the road, and I subject myself to a lot of things that aren't normal. And you couldn't do if you lived your life any way other than how I do. And I think a lot of people almost people send me messages like, not necessarily, this sounds weird, but like living through some of my adventures, if that makes sense.
The majority of people are scared of change. They're scared of an insecurity. Like, it's not a secure life. I mean, living the RV life is difficult. You're talking about people inviting you over to their house, like, to wash your clothes. Like, dude, that's huge. To be able to wash. I mean, just like recently, moving into a house. But before that, there was times where we'd go weeks, we're stretching out all the clothes we have, and then boom, finally, like, hey, we can use somebody's house to do some laundry. And it's like amazing.
Yeah. So I've gotten real comfortable about asking for the washing machine. To be honest, another rule of mine, always steal Q-tips. I steal Q-tips at every house I go to. I looked for them in your bathroom. You guys don't have any.
Jack can slide you a box.
Look, you never know when you're going to need them on the road. And they always feel great. It's always a clutch time for Q-tip. You know what I mean?
Shout out Q-tip.
But the community, the amount of life has just been so rich. I was living a very normal life in Colorado. I had a gorgeous home that I built for myself. Had a great income building houses, but everything felt so on track to be normal. You know what I mean? Like, safe and like just average, like good, but average to me. And it just was like something was missing, and I felt like I was always going to regret not going if I didn't take the chance that I had when I had it.
Dude, life goes by so fast. Man. Like my 16 years of construction, it seemed like, so I'm turning 34 this year. It seemed like the last 5-6 years, every year I was like, yeah, I'm going to try and figure out how to quit construction this year. And it was just year after year after year. And you're so comfortable in what you know.
All right, so this is going to get real personal, but that's okay. I was dating a girl who had just got out of a relationship, and basically what I had gathered, she was so unhappy in life because she had missed out on so much in life, and I could see that turning into bitterness and almost resentment
against yourself. Yeah,
against herself. Yeah, absolutely. But I could see it in her, and that made me really sad and confirmed my fear. And to be honest, when we split, I was just so terrified of like getting locked into that situation in life. Not that getting married or having kids is a death sentence by any means, but it definitely changes what you're able to do. And I have I've never been married and I don't have kids, and all I could think about was like going out and seeing what the rest of like what life is like, you know. And I wanted to take the risk, so I bounced. And the amount of life I've lived in the past year and a half. I got to live in Mexico at the beginning of last year for 4 months.
All these places, are you hauling your rig down to all these places?
Not down there. I was actually working on a yacht remodel down there, living at the boatyard in Ensenada. So that was interesting, but had a lot of good and bad experiences being in Mexico. But first time, have you ever been to Mexico?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was your first time like? Did you know what to experience crossing the border? How old were you?
No, I went a bunch as a kid. My grandma had an orphanage down there.
Okay.
So we got to go down there a lot and like basically live in her orphanage for a couple weeks at a time and help her out with everything. But it's crazy down there.
It's a whole different beast. But
I remember just driving once you cross the border. There's people driving on like the sidewalks and stuff. Like there's just utter chaos.
Well, because the streets aren't any good, so you got to go to the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Ensenada was cool. Had a ton of life experience down there. My first time in Mexico, I actually my mom got my passport in the mail in Colorado, shipped it out to me in California. I was at the Glamis sand dunes and wanted to go to Mexico, so I drove my truck across the border. Knew nothing. Everybody on Instagram this was all posting on my story. Everybody was messaging me, telling me how stupid I was, asking me if I had Mexican insurance. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know what I was going down there to do. I just wanted to be in Mexico.
I still don't even know what Mexican. I know they say to get Mexican insurance before you cross the border, but what does it do for you?
So your insurance does nothing for you if you're in Mexico. Like I got State Farm, they tell me, oh, sorry, unless you have Mexican insurance. You got to get Mexican insurance.
For your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm down there. I ended up going to a mall. I bought a badass shirt, cheetah print, tiger skin, and snake skin. It was cool. Anyways,
I noticed you like the animal print.
Yeah, I'm a cheetah print. I'm a cheetah print fan.
Cool.
But go to the mall, buy the shirt. Think I went and got some tacos. I hate tacos down in Mexico. I think they're disgusting. Which is going to start a whole different thing on this thing. But go get some tacos. I'm coming across the border, going to the border checkpoint. I get in a line, and these guys are like telling me that I'm in the wrong line, and had no idea what was going on. But I speak Spanish, so they told me they were going to get me turned around and get in the right line. It's like, okay, well, I'm in a dually. I don't know how I'm going to turn around in this. They literally started beating on the hoods of people's cars around me and making them move for me. They turned me around. This guy is backing me up. This is in Mexicali, if you've been to that border crossing. They backed me out of this entire line. First guy opens my passenger door and says, I'm going to get in and take you to where you're supposed to go. Okay. About 20 feet later, someone else is standing on the side of the road. He's like, hey, this is my little brother. Can you pick him up too? Cool. Then we get.
Is this a guy like geared up?
No, this guy's in street clothes, but I don't know, dude. I've never been to Mexico. Like, I don't know who these people are. Like, maybe their cops don't have uniforms. I don't know. So we drive about another 100 feet because, again, this is the part where there's concrete barricades on both sides. Drive about another 100 feet, and there's two more guys. And he was like, hey, these are my buddies. Can you take them and drop us all off at the same spot? 4 felt like a lot, you know? I'm pretty outnumbered. Yeah, I'm pretty outnumbered at that point. But those two dudes were cool. We were making jokes. So I was like, yeah, whatever. They get in my truck. They tell me where to go, tell me to take a right. We get about 5 blocks off the wall, and I have a bad feeling in my stomach because no one's talking at that point. I pull my truck over to the side and I'm, are we going, right? Like, I'm concerned. Didn't really want to drive deeper into Mexico at that point. So he tells me to just take a right. So I take a right and I can see that we're back at the right spot. So everything's good again, right? I'm back to joking around and laughing with them. They take me into this other line. And he asked me how much money I have. And I'm like, well, money for what? He was like, well, you got to pay to get in. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, pay to get in the country. Like a toll road, right? In my mind. Yeah. Yeah, in my mind. I didn't know, dude. So 4 of them are still in my truck, right? I got 3 in back. The other guy's sitting here, and he's talking to me. He's doing most of the talking. And he was like, well, it's $100 for what we did for you. It's $80 to get in the country, and it's $20 for our fee. Okay. Like, that makes $80 to get in my own country. That felt weird, but like, okay, yeah, that doesn't, I don't know. And then $20, like, he earned his $20. He got me in the red line. I wasn't in the wrong one in hindsight, but, so anyways, I pay him. No, he says it's $100. I'm like, dude, I don't have any cash. I just bought this pimp ass shirt at the mall, right, with the tiger stripes and the cheetah and all that. And got tacos. I wanted to be sure that I went back with no cash because I didn't want to have cash in. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. I got a credit card reader. Okay, that's convenient. He literally pulled out a credit card reader out of his backpack. He's telling me that when he pulled out the credit card reader, I was pretty much ready to pay, but I was like, how are they going to know that I paid you to let me in? You know, like, I was still worried about getting in my own country. Because he made me kind of scared. Like, he was like, dude, what are you going to do if you don't pay? Like, you're not going to be able to get back in the U.S. And I'm like, I guess for $80, it doesn't make sense not to be able to go home, right? So we agree that I'm going to pay him. And he tells me that he's going to go tell the cops after I pay him to let me in that I've already paid. We're good. Cool. He runs the $100. I see it on chase.com that he's ran for $100. Lock my card, right? They get out of my truck. They make it about 20 feet, and they walk that way, and the cop was straight in front. I'm like, oh, they're not telling any cops. So he swindled me. I realize it, but it's only $100, right? Everyone's telling me what an idiot I am. And I'm like, I only lost $100. At least I didn't die, I get to go home. Make it across the border after so I call one of my friends who's from Mexico as soon as those guys get out, and I tell him that I just paid him $100, and he tells me that I'm the biggest idiot in the world for that. I confirmed, but he's like, I need you to check your truck for everything right now. He was like, they could have planted something, they could have planted a gun, they could have planted drugs, they could have planted a tracker. He was like, you need to check your truck. Then I start getting real nervous, right? Well, I didn't even think about that. Then I get to the actual checkpoint, and I get called into secondary. And then I'm sweating. I'm freaking out because I just had 4 people that I have no idea what they had or what they were doing in my truck. And I get called into secondary. This is my first time going to Mexico. I've never had to deal with any of this. I don't know if it's normal. I don't know anything. I get called into the room. They strip search me, and I was so scared because they're not really telling you much this entire time. Have you ever had that process?
No.
So I'm like, not in tears, but I'm on the verge, dude, because I'm like, did they find something? Was something planted? This is right after my friend says they'll plant something on you just to do this, or they'll plant a tracker. If they were friendly to you, they'll plant a tracker and see where you go and tell people over the border where you are so that they can come. So all of these things are running through my mind as I'm being strip searched. And they say, because they had asked me, have you had anyone else in your vehicle? And I said no, right? Because I panicked. I didn't want to say yes, because then it's even weirder. So I said no, and turns out nothing. They didn't find anything. Got back in my truck, drove to Glamis, going through my stuff, and realized that my brand new camera is stolen. So it was a $2,000 camera I had sitting under my back seat that's gone. They had taken a couple other things. While the guys were in my truck, I had made them follow me on Instagram, and we took a couple selfies together. I send the guy a message on Instagram and say, basically, you earned your $100. Like, you swindled me. You played me like a fiddle. Like, I'm stupid, and you got me good, and you deserve every bit of that $100. But you're a piece of crap for stealing. You're still a thief. I don't respect you for anything. Blah blah blah. Basically, he sends me a message that says, "Don't lie about me. If I ever see you in Mexico again, I'll kill you." And I being me, sent him a selfie of me smiling back to him, right? Might have had my middle finger up for it. Anyways, go down to Mexico to work on the boat. I'm at a different entry point. This is in Tijuana, and I'm about 150 feet away from the border, and someone knocks on my window. If you've been to Mexico, that's not that unnormal, right? Yeah. But I look over and it's not some guy with anything in his hands trying to sell me a hat or a blanket or something. This guy just waves to me and he has the craziest look in his eyes. A little creepy, but I dismiss it, look back at my phone, line crawls up, he moves with me. He's not going anywhere. He's right at my window, just dead-eyed, right at me. 15 seconds go by, my Instagram lines up, and it's the same guy from before with a message that says, "Hi." Yeah. I instantly was in, like, you know, that stomach sink, like, I'm going to die right now feeling. That was that. He stood with me for about, I don't know, maybe the next 30 seconds. And then the guy sent me another message saying, "See you next time."
So did you stay out of Mexico after that?
I definitely am not taking my truck back, but I'm supposed to go for the San Felipe 250.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Mexico's gnarly.
Yeah.
I've heard quite a few horror stories about it.
That was one of the worst times. One of my worst experiences. I think the other one was getting drug out of a bar. Mexico, don't dance with people's girls down there in Mexico. That'll get you in trouble.
I said don't dance with anything in Mexico.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, we've gotten invites to go down for like Baja racing down there. I mean, I want to go. Everybody says you have to go once for the experience, but I don't know. After hearing so many stories, you definitely have to play your cards right going down there.
Yeah.
And be smart.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to do things. Again, people like watching my content because I'm willing to do the things that most people don't do by themselves.
Yeah.
And that whole Mexico adventure was one thing after another of that. That night in particular, I wandered across Ensenada at 3 a.m. by myself, walking with my backpack just like I'm dressed right now, sticking out like a sore thumb, right? But I ended up at a nightclub and some girls asked me to dance, and the next thing I knew, I was having a different night than I thought I was. I thought it was going to end differently than that one did.
Speaking of interesting nights, so all this time in Glamis, I guess any of the places that you've been by yourself in your trailer, have you had any weird things going down?
All right. Weirdest thing I've ever had go down. Salt Lake City. I was staying there. I just got there. I was staying with a buddy just outside of Little Sahara, and I was held up there for, I think, a week or so in between events. He was getting married. We were at a property out there, and I heard this noise at about 2:30 in the morning. We're in kind of an industrial area, right? It's outside his shop is where I was staying, an industrial area. There's always a gun in my trailer, and it's 3 a.m. I hear something outside, but he stays in the shop as well. It's 3 a.m. I hear something outside. It sounded like someone was getting into the shop, so I call him. I say, "Hey, someone's outside. I'm coming out with my gun." He comes out at the same time. We don't see anybody. We sweep this entire property. Noise went away. Everything's okay, right? I go back to bed. 4:30 in the morning, I hear a freaking crash. Jump out of bed and search. Everything's fine. What the heck's going on? it ended up being about an hour later, as I was sitting on the footsteps of my bedroom in my trailer, Glock in hand, that I found out it was a mouse inside my trash can that was making all of this commotion, and I had pulled the gun on a mouse a couple of different times. But no, nothing with anybody or any people doing anything bad. I've had my fair share. I think truck stops would be where I found the weirdest. Sometimes when I'm going from destination to destination, I get knocks at the windows at truck stops. Never had a lawn lizard, but I see them make their way from truck to truck, or truck to truck, or truck stop to truck, and those are always fun. But as far as actually being out in the desert, I've been so lucky. You know what I have been hoping for? So Mexico is literally right here. Glamis is right above it, right? During season, I still will find immigrants coming across the sand. I'll see them down at the corner on the ranger station where they get picked up. But I've never seen one out in the sand. And I was hoping that being the only one out there for this long, I would eventually see somebody coming across the sand dunes. But I still haven't seen
They go by the ranger station?
Where else do they get picked up? I mean, that would be a dumb thing, right?
I mean, it seems dumb.
Yeah. But if you don't know if it's a cop building, right? Think about walking across the desert.
First time over here, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Sacagawea some days with how much I'm out there walking, just exploring. I have walked more of Glamis than I bet you. Who else would have walked as far as I've walked out there? For what reason? Besides crossing.
I mean, unless in a past life, if there's a guy doing the same thing that you're doing,
I don't know. I think I've logged over 70 miles by foot in the dunes so far.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All barefoot.
So, Durlock Media future.
Yeah.
From here on out, how much more time do you have in Glamis, and then where's your next stop after this?
Glamis will be in Glamis till Easter. Just after Easter, we're going to do something Easter Sunday, cleaning up. That's kind of going to be my last hurrah. Getting some companies out there to kind of help make.
Is that the one you asked us?
Yeah. Do something fun for the kids out there. Again, we're getting back to the kids. They're the ones engaged. So we're going to do something out there for a cleanup event Sunday. Then the next weekend, I actually have to be in Little Sahara, at Little Sahara Sand Dunes in Nephi, Utah. Sand Outlaws drag racing is going down that weekend. So we got to go be with Packard Performance and some of the other companies out there who are running the UTVs, drag racing. And then I'm kind of trying to figure out if I'm going to stay in Utah. I have another event there. That event is April 14th and 15th. And we have another event there mid-May. UTV Invasion is towards the end of May. I'll likely stay out there for some good time cleaning up that place. Just don't know if it's going to be then. There's still some snow on the ground in Utah, and me and snow aren't the biggest friends right now. So
no?
I'm not a cold weather person anymore. After living in Colorado for so long, I just want to be warm. I like the sunshine. So fighting living on the road. Like, I don't know that I want to live in a camper when it's 30 degrees out at night.
Yeah, vice versa too. I mean, there's some summer days out here that
Glamis, that season's winding down. Everybody wraps up there. I think the last official weekend of the season is April 15th or something like that. So everybody's kind of getting out of there, and the reality is it's almost too hot to be picking up trash how we're doing it there any longer than then. So we'll be bouncing out of there and continuing on this adventure kind of across the country throughout the year. I think we have to spend 2 months in Utah, then we'll make our way up to Oregon. We have UTV Takeover and Dune Fest up there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those two events.
We might try and get the takeover.
Okay, Coos Bay. Coos Bay is an awesome location. I got to live out there for about a month last year as well, so pretty familiar with that. It's an awesome place. And I'm guessing by the time Coos Bay rolls around, I'll be looking for that cooler weather anyway. So June and July up in Coos Bay and Winchester Bay for the event season is a good move. I'm almost like a fair weather life person anymore. Like, I don't I don't want to be in 120.
No.
But I don't want to be in 40, 30,
Dude,
20.
Right now, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
70 degrees, 65 degrees.
And most people are in a situation of life where they can't move their life around all year, but I am in one right now, so I am going to continue to do that. So we'll stay in some of these places until it gets too hot, too cold, and then keep moving on.
Yeah.
And it's cool. We're going to get back to some more riding destination content this year, kind of really showing people what these places are like that we all love, and hopefully that'll kind of broaden everybody's horizons about going to different locations and seeing different places. I'm all about meeting different people, trying new things, new adventures. I can't do the same thing year after year after year after year. I want to see the world. I want to see what other.
It gets redundant.
Yeah, absolutely. But this stuff that we love here exists all over the world, and it's just cool to see it in different forms.
Yeah. So capturing all that media, who's your media guy?
Mr. Cole Sonata will be here with us this season. It's pretty exciting. As you guys,
Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram. He's launching our YouTube. He's going to kind of be helping us out with that throughout the rest of the year. So,
how'd you guys meet?
We actually met through UTV Source,
Nice.
a company that I was actually helping them with some content last year in Coos Bay. And he was the videographer up there doing some content with them. So we linked up and we've gotten along really well. And he's an awesome guy to have around. And we see things similarly as far as how we want to present. And it's been fun.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So before wrapping this up, X Travel. You got to experience some X Travel this last week. So you've driven without, you've driven with it.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of stuff on the Can-Am side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never actually seen somebody drive both without or with on the Razor. So what are your thoughts on that?
It was an unbelievable difference. The effortless, just the input, the lack of input that you're feeling, the lack of input is all of the input, right? It kind of is full circle there. You don't feel anything because the technology is working so dang well, but you know what it's doing. It was all you can do is put your hands on the wheel and just watch it track. It's amazing. It was effortless. The bump steer was gone. It felt so firm and planted in the steering wheel, and predictable. There was no herky-jerky. There was no the car wandering this way after a bump. It was awesome.
Dude, the video you did, letting go.
Yeah.
So we talk about like, X Travel always talks about the finger test. I've never actually seen you were hauling in that video.
Yeah, I think I was doing between 60 and 70 in that clip.
You were off for a good 4 or 5 seconds. You were just...
Yeah, I think we probably caught it right before that send off that little ledge. Could have kept it off probably for that little send, to be honest. But even when my hands were on the steering wheel, it was just so effortless. But as you can see in that video, we're hitting things with the front of the tire, different bumps, right? Different rocks, and that tire is not trying to fight one way or the other. It's still tracking straight, and that was a straight trail in that video when I let go, and the car just handled it flawlessly. Even in a Turbo S, I mean, I can't even imagine what that's going to do in my car, in a Pro R or a Turbo R. Just the performance difference and everything.
Like the durability too. So like
that's going to be my biggest thing. I'm kind of known for blowing things apart. It seems like I can't keep a car together for longer than a couple 100 miles just because we're always out blowing through things. So breaking things. So upping that durability is a huge thing for me, as many people are trying to chase a kind of a bulletproof car. We're just sick of chasing problems every freaking time. You know, we buy these cars to go hammer on them, and then we got to go break them. But if we can, that's going to be awesome. So the durability of the uniballs versus the ball joints is just going to be.
It seems like with the UTVs, like you break something, you find a solution, it strengthens up that point of the car. and now you go on to the next point. You just keep kind of going around the car. But this essentially replaces your entire front end.
Yeah, not essentially. It does, and I'm interested to see how it's going to do on the Pro R. Like I said, the Turbo S was unbelievable. That dual hinge spindle, it was just super cool, and it's super cool how the shock moves back and forth.
Have you watched our articulation videos?
We did our own, and I was watching that one. And
it's a trip.
Yeah.
Like watching just the skid plates slide and stuff.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah, it's insane. So the feedback that you're not feeling is telling you everything, because in a Pro R, the bumps here in my Pro R and that steering wheel is just all over the place. It'll rip it right out of your hands, you know. X3, the same thing. It'll rip that steering wheel literally right out of your hands. Your wrists hurt, your arms hurt after a hard day of driving in the desert, right? But that X Travel, like I literally felt like I could have just driven. It was like I was driving a Honda Civic. I mean, it just no input. It was so firm. It felt so good.
I've never driven with it yet.
Really?
After all this time filming all this stuff, I've never been behind the seat of an X Travel vehicle.
Okay, you're gonna be.
I don't like driving people's stuff. I have like a hard time getting in somebody else's vehicle.
He told me to drive it.
I know, you're good.
Okay. Because I was beating it a little bit. We bottomed out way hard. I launched off something pretty dang hard. It was awesome. It recovered so well. I was pretty impressed. I will say though, we have to get a comparison between an X Travel X3 and a Turbo S. That done side by side, because I would like to know the difference there. Feel the difference there.
Oh, like you being able to drive both?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
I just want to get behind one, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I've been telling everybody, because that video's going pretty well, and I've had a couple people ask me, like, is that real? You know, or is that just like an Instagram thing? And it was realer than real could be.
I felt it, dude. What? I mean, you were moving.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like finger tests, like driving slower,
mm-hmm.
but just completely letting go and having faith in the front end.
Yeah, I let Jesus take the wheel on that one. Yeah. Yeah. He told me to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But yeah, I don't. I'm nervous to drive other people's stuff too.
Yeah, like
not.
I don't know. I'm okay with breaking my own stuff. I have to fix it on my own time.
Yep.
My own money.
Yep.
You break somebody else's stuff, and it's like an instant obligation to
fix it
immediately.
Yep.
So
drop everything and fix it.
All right, dude. Well, stoked we were able to get together on Friday.
Yeah.
Randomly meet. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had no idea that it was going to be anybody else besides James with X Travel and us. Then like all these cars started showing up, and see a camera guy with a guy with him, and I'm like, dude, who are these people? And so it was cool being able to meet up with you and then randomly make it work to do the podcast. And
yeah, that was all in happenstance, to be honest, and that's how the last 2 years have gone. I actually ran into James up at the Roadrunner campground in Glamis by accident. I was trying to hide a car from the cops that weekend. I freaking didn't pay for it. All right, I'll hide a car.
Yeah, you can't just drop that.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
Yeah, peace out. I gotta get back to hiding. Forgot to tell someone to get a camping pass out in Glamis, right? So I look outside and I'm like, shoot, there's the Rangers. They're looking for passes. So I jump in this car and I'm like, all right, we're just gonna drive up to Gecko or Roadrunner just to kill some time and let the cops pass by. Drive over to Roadrunner, see James there with the X Travel car, and I instantly hop out, trying to kill time, right? Let the Ranger roll by. I'll go get a camping pass. I'll do it legally, but I don't, So we bail into James's camp, and I start talking to him, and then he invites me out to meet you guys, and then we end up meeting you guys out there, and now we're here doing this. But it all started because I was trying to dodge the fuzz from handicapping.
That's part of your yes man mentality.
Yes.
Being able to show up and just do stuff.
Yeah.
So April When's your desert cleanup? The Glamis cleanup?
9th.
April 9th?
Yeah, Easter.
So April 9th, if you guys are interested, you can follow Desert Life Media on Instagram and YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, Dirt Life Media. Yeah.
So subscribe to their YouTube. You guys can DM him, ask him questions about the desert cleanup. I think we'll be out there as well. But yeah, I appreciate you coming out, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Spending some time getting to know you. And
yeah, it was fun.
Next one of these days, we'll have to get Cole on here.
Yeah, Mr. Coley.
Hey, I'm a media guy. I don't ever sit on this side. This is the first podcast I've actually done. So
you did good.
I enjoy sitting on
you
that
did
side.
Great.
And but yeah, I appreciate it, dude.
Thank you.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Dirt Life Media on
Dirt Life Media
on Instagram, and then leave us some feedback in the comments. Let us know if you guys want to see anybody else on the podcast, and yeah, we'll check you guys later.